Hello everyone, I'm Black Marvin. I'm a progressive psychedelic trance artist and I'm also a teacher for electronic music production. Today is a nice day because we have a new free plugin by Acustica Audio. It's called EMINENCE. It's called EMINENCE. I had like total brain freeze. Yeah, it's called EMINENCE and they threw the buzzword in there, creamy, which is a positive trigger for me because I like that sound aesthetic on my mixes. A free channel strip like this is a great opportunity for beginners, for people who would maybe want to start working with analog emulations, start using that workflow so you don't have to like invest upfront. It's free. And honestly, it covers, it's a channel strip. So we have a preamp, we have three EQ bands, there's a compressor, and there's even a mid-side spreader. I'm going to test all of these in the upcoming video. And just to give you an idea of the angle where I'm coming at this, I'm not necessarily a gearhead in the sense that I know that some people that are really good at it and they really dig into, they do some comparison with some hardware and stuff. To give you an idea, when I started working with analog emulations, I never owned any analog hardware, but still it really changed my approach, how I view things. Also came into the conclusion that I really like all the API emulations. I like them a lot. So obviously I got Ping 4 from Acustica. I use Choral 2 and Lift 3. This is some of the Acustica plugins that I own already. So yeah, the approach today is going to be almost like you're trying something new. I like to call this mapping. So I'm gonna play with the bands, play with the parameters, see what this plugin can do. Maybe probably go in the settings a little too far and really just to see all that range of possibilities. And we're gonna make this plugin show us its real character. We want to see that today. Also, I'm a psychedelic trance producer, so I'm gonna test it on psychedelic trance. So if you want to have a good preview on, heavy electronic music, how we can use that, that's going to be a good example. I'm sure some people are going to do some really great example on acoustic stuff, some metal stuff. So that gives you a good idea of today's approach. Also, if you want more content like this, more of the Acustica audio content, more analog emulation content, or just sound design tips in general, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel. I cover a lot of these, and I'm going to cover more Acustica audio video in the future. And let's try this beast right now. So before starting to play inside Eminence, let's just hear a bit of the track, how it sounds now, so we can have like a basis comparison, although we're going to do some bypass. And I chose a part that has a lot of stuff going on, so it's going to be a good way to demonstrate the plugin. All right, so I looped that part here, and that's where we're gonna stay. So first I'm gonna set up a preamp. This one is my favorite. It does something to the, like, just a global presence, and I like it. I've noticed a bit of change in the low end on this one, but globally I prefer this one. And I engaged this. I believe this is like a 16 time oversampling, but I actually tried to access the user manual at this time on the Acustica website, and it seems to be down or just not available. So yeah, well, we can confirm that maybe later, but logically it sounds like a 16 time oversampling. All right, so now let's move on to the EQ part. All right, so that's cool. I'm obviously not gonna let it stay at this setting, but what I did so far is just basically went with a pretty aggressive setting. And at this time, if I was to cycle through that EQ, and if I would have gotten some like really like unpleasant behavior at some of these spots, it would have meant that there was a problem in the mixing. And I don't hear anything like harsh, so that's cool. And I like how the EQ curves sound so far. And now I'm just gonna go for something that is, you know, pleasing. I'm not using any reference track. I'm just like I said, I'm mapping, and I'm just gonna choose a setting that is pleasing to my ear. Yeah, I actually would love to have, let's say, more of these. And I think I would set up one like this at 700 hertz and another one possibly between 1.3 and 2.3. Okay, so yeah, I'm guessing these are shelves. Yeah, logically these are shelves. But I like a bit better the like how the low shelf behaved than this one behave, and would have been cool to have maybe at least like two options. But you know, it's a free plugin, so it's cool. But I prefer the sound of the low shelf better so far. Now I have set up all the tree bands, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just make sure it is gain compensated. I'm gonna go by here, but it's gonna help us preview a bit better. Now I have gain compensated by ear, and let's do a bypass. All right, interesting. You know, not sure. I'm basically testing these and having fun. I'm not sure I would keep these settings, but yeah, it's nice to see how Eminence react, and I could see myself using this in the future. Now let's look at the dynamics module. That way it's really pumpy, usually on the with the schmod. I'm gonna set up like usually where I set up my Acustica compressors, which is ping 4 and coral 2. I'm gonna go for similar settings and how I like it. So I spent a lot of time tweaking the compressor. At first, I was having a really too pumpy effect, but it was just cool to see how the compressor can react. So far, yeah, this is the setting I would tend to go for. So basically, yeah, what I feel I have right now is in that section, if you pay attention to the snare and the hi-hat with the compressor on, it really gives an effect that I like a lot. And it's like, it feels like the snare and the hi-hat is like being sucked back into the mix, and it's really pleasing. Let me know in the comments if you can hear it or you don't, but it's something I like to achieve on my sound. So now let's re-listen to that section and pay attention to that behavior I just described. So yeah, now obviously it's not gain compensated anymore. I'm just gonna go ahead and do some gain compensation with the output. And really, I play with the compressor and with the attack and release. If you play a bit more, if you heard with a shorter release, it really tend to start to pump more. But with this setting, what happens is it's really that it pumps just enough to get that effect on the hi-hat and snare, that glue, but not overly pumping effect. Really cool. Finally, I'm gonna play a bit with the mid-side spread here and see how it sounds. Yeah, it sounds cool. Honestly, I don't really hear any like quickly. I don't really hear any difference between. I think it's really similar than the Cerise one and the other mid-side spread that Acustica have in that type of like free channel strips. Although Cerise is not free anymore, I think, but you know it was for a while. Usually, how I like to use these is not necessarily on the master, but I like to, let's say, get Cerise or you know one of these channel strips type, and get that on the, let's say, the synth bus or a pad bus, and use the mid-side spread along as the other features, but use the mid-side spread, and so I can like manage the stereo information, but by bus. So you know, I end up having different layers with different spreads, and I think it's a really good way to achieve that. So that would be it for the road test of Eminence on Psytrance. I will leave you with my final thoughts. And that's it for this video. Now it's time for the final thoughts. I would have to say, I like the EQ. Yeah, I would have loved, but I'm not so sure about the top shelf, and I would have loved maybe on the shelving more options. But again, it's a free plugin, and there's some really nice feature in there. So, you know, just throwing that out there. But I'm really grateful to have this nice plugin. I really like the compressor, and you know, I recorded the video, and now you know, I had a bit of time to think about it, and I definitely like the compressor. I like the character. I like the way it you know it behaves on the sound, and I'm definitely going to maybe try this compressor instead of the Pink 4 compressor on, yeah, basically where I usually put Pink 4. I'm gonna try to put this one instead, just to see what result it can give me, because also that's another thing I like about Pink 4. I like how it snaps. I sometimes just put it on the snare because and give it a little bit of action, just because I like how it sounds. And I think this guy can do it too, and in a different way. So I'm gonna test that for sure. So I like the compressor, and also I like the preamp too. It's a sad thing that I just, you know, if you want to load that preamp, you kind of need to load the whole channel strip, and that's quite heavy. So I cannot necessarily load it everywhere I would like to load it, but still I like the preamp, the one I ended up choosing, which is like the third option. You can see it in the video. Aside from that, I guess my recommendation would be that it's a really good thing to use on buses. Master bus, well, if you're a beginner and you want to dip in that kind of workflow and you don't have, you know, anything else to put, yes, I would recommend it on the master bus. Although I'm gonna for sure keep using Choral 2 and Lift 3 and other stuff on the master, but I'm gonna try it on buses. Definitely a solid recommendation for me, and it's free. So thank you, Acustica. I'm gonna see you guys in another video where it's either gonna be sound design, mixing, or yeah, I don't. That's pretty much what I do. All right, see you in the next video. Cheers.